Welcome back across Nevada to Face to Face. Despite unprecedented federal spending on cybersecurity, our nation's infrastructure, defense, and financial systems remain vulnerable. Our guest tonight says current firewalls that keep infected software out while keeping protected information in may not be the answer. Joining me, the co-founder and CEO of Lookingglass Cyber Solutions. That's a company that defends against cyber terror. Gabbard joins us. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thanks for having me.
So you are saying that this what's so-called castle and moat strategy, which you can imagine that you surround all the stuff inside there by this essentially cyber moat.
Right.
It doesn't work.
No, so the whole strategy kind of grew up back in the days when organizations owned all of the network equipment and infrastructure that mattered to them. And so over time that's kind of changed, and now with cloud computing and some of the new current buzzwords that are actual real technologies, there's a movement of all that information and a movement of all that capability outside of the traditional perimeter security model. So now we have a very interconnected set of networks that are interdependent and rely on each other. And at the end of the day, a castle and moat strategy doesn't work there.
Essentially, when people talk about the cloud, I'm sitting there on my computer. It used to be all this stuff was right inside my computer. Now I have all this information that's up there in the cloud, and it might be accessed more easily by people who know what they're doing, right?
That's right, and it's not just you. It's banks, it's defense contractors, it's
I only
large
care about
enterprises.
Me. I only care.
I understand.
I'm kidding.
Most people do, but at the end of the day, those organizations have used the same kind of technologies that you're talking about to push their data, to push their processing out to these providers, and now they're completely dependent upon the security of this ecosystem instead of just the security of their own internal infrastructure.
So what do you do?
So I think we're at the cusp of a new approach, which is to start looking at the network as it is, as a system of systems, and to start to push the defenses out to the providers, to push the defenses out into the cloud, if you will, and to look at it more as an ecosystem instead of just an individual castle and moat or perimeter model.
This goes both ways, and I'm sure you know all about this. The U.S. and Israel especially have used these viruses to go and try to screw up Iran's uranium enrichment system. In fact, they did one just earlier this week, and the Washington Post today wrote a story about it saying Iran's nuclear enrichment equipment was targeted just last month. The United States and Israel jointly developed what's called the Flame virus, which secretly mapped and monitored Iran's computer networks. The effort involving the National Security Agency, the CIA, and Israel's military has included the use of destructive software such as the Stuxnet virus to cause malfunctions in Iran's nuclear enrichment equipment, the reporters wrote. So imagine someone who wants to destroy the financial infrastructure of a country, and they're sophisticated enough to come up with one of these viruses. They don't have to get it inside your computer. They can get it up there into the cloud, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. So it does cut both ways. So defending against that means you have to be able to understand where all of your infrastructure that you depend upon sits, and to be able to start pushing some form of situational awareness, some form of threat intelligence, some form of mitigation out there. But by the same token, if there are organizations that need to exploit or look for weaknesses in adversary networks, they're unfortunately in the same kind of distributed computing and service provider environment that we are. So one leak into that type of organization, and now you have widespread effects.
I'm not usually in the business of scaring people. I don't want to scare people unnecessarily, but how much unsafe data is there out there, sir?
Well, it's not. So there's a lot. The internet has some dark alleys and some bad places, and I think that we have kind of come to realize that in the past year or so. My company's been working on this for a few years, actually over 5 now, and in the beginning we were we saw our customers be more interested in securing their own perimeter and their own infrastructure. And I think that mentality started changing 18 months to 2 years ago, and now they see security as a distributed responsibility. They're expecting it of their providers, they're expecting it of their partners, and as such they're in turn raising the bar on each other.
You're just saying you can't, people, these businesses, whatever they are, can't be as insular as they used to be, saying, I've just got my little place here. They have to work together with their vendors, with their business partners, etc.
That's right. Yeah, unfortunately and fortunately, the interconnectedness has driven down costs, but it's driven up exposure. And so at the end of the day, we are trying to help folks understand what that exposure is, understand what they can do to start mitigating that risk, and to hold each other accountable so that you have the ability to understand where your risks are and deal with them.
We're out of time. Fascinating stuff. Derek Gabbard, thanks for coming on the program to talk about it.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Finally tonight, there's some obscure sporting event going on in London, and this network insists on covering it at the time we usually come to you. So instead of watching the sport right here on Face to Face, you'll have to be content with the Olympics for a couple of weeks. Enjoy the action. We'll see you back here in a couple of weeks, and go USA!